Hello, and welcome to the My Parking Consultant podcast. Today's episode is titled, True Confessions of an Ex-Valet Driver. Our special guest is Luigi Lisa, Regional Sales Executive with AVPMi.
Hey guys, this is Anderson Emerald, and I'm the host of the My Parking Consultant podcast. And today I have a very special guest here with us, Luigi Lisa, Sales Executive with AVPMi.
Anderson, thank you for having me. I know that this is your first podcast. I want to thank you for having me here, and I'm ready to answer all the questions that you may have.
Yeah, hey, listen, I wouldn't want to have anybody sit here except you for the first one, man. I think this is special. You know?
I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, and I think the fact that you and I have some synergy, of having worked together. I miss working with you.
I miss working with you as well. So yeah, it was really it was a mix when I joined AVPMi. I remember when I started, in 2018, I think it was August 2018, and I met you the first time, and then, we start doing, you start showing me and, just become a mentor on the technology side, which thank you so much. I learned a lot from you. And then we started a relationship. I was following your leadership, and I think, it helped me a lot to move to the next level on the sales, right? This one was actually my first sales job, right?
Even prior for you to get into parking, you had never done sales before? Like you never had like a job even when you were a teenager just selling stuff?
Yeah, I work as a sales, but not on the technology side,
okay.
Which, is a different monster, right? When you come from the operation side to the technology side, and you join a kind of company like AVPM that is, is a monster, right? Because, the type of locations they have, right? Like airports, casinos. I learned a lot from you, so I appreciate that.
Some people are teachable, right? And you were teachable.
Thank you for that.
You put yourself in a position to where you wanted to learn, and you made yourself available, and you worked really hard. And I think, you do a great job. I think that the people who you work with could also vouch for that, your clients. So
thank you for that. Yeah, no, but this is more about, mentorship, right? When you have someone that really push you to go to the next level is amazing, right? So things that you can achieve. So thank you again, man.
Yeah, man, no worries. I'm glad that it worked out that way. So just to kind of like break the ice here, now that we've made an introduction, how did you get into parking, man? Like, what's your story behind that? Like, once you're in, they say you never get out. I've tried to get out a few times and I came back in. So, but how about you? How did you get in?
I was preparing myself to answer this question since this morning. So, yeah. So everything started in 1995. My uncle used to work for a small operator in South Beach at that time. And, I was desperately looking for a job. I was 20 years old. And
you just gave up your age now.
Yeah, exactly. So, he gave me the opportunity to start working in a condo hotel. It was like a kind of mixed property.
You said it was your uncle, right? Was he like a manager or a supervisor for the company?
He was a manager, and he left the company like 2 months before, but he got the connection, so he put me with another manager, so I started there. So, but it was really fun. It was a club next to the building.
Okay.
So, I was making a lot of good tips at the time. I was working the best shift ever.
That cash money.
The cash money.
Yeah.
Even, I was getting $3 an hour.
Yeah.
So you can imagine it's $240 every 2 weeks.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, but, I was, at that time, a lot of people were giving you cash, right? So I was able to make a lot of money on cash at that time. And then, since then, I started working for different buildings, different type of buildings like condos, hotels, hospitals, doing a lot of special events, so I work anywhere in the Miami Beach area. That was my, my hoop at that time. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's a
Yeah.
good story. So you
Yeah.
knew somebody, so your uncle, and got you in, and then you just stayed on, right?
Yeah. And but this is a funny part. So at that time when I was 20 years old, I remember that I was practicing to get to drive stick shift
Okay.
cars. Okay.
But you were practicing on the customer's cars or on your own car?
I'm gonna go there. So yeah. So the first car that I got was a Mustang Cobra 1992.
Oh wow, like a Fox body. That was nice.
So it was convertible. So there was a guy by name Juan, but everybody called him Chuchito. So he was 76 years old.
Okay, and it was his car, or
no, it wasn't his car. So the first thing, when I start, and they put me on a training session, they told me, listen, grab that car and enjoy the ride inside of the garage. Take 2 hours. So I remember that day.
These are true confessions of a valet driver.
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
This is going to be on HBO one day.
And then, I grabbed the car, I remember, and, the car turned off like several times, right?
It's stalled, right? Yeah.
So it was stuck until, I got it.
Was it a residential building that you were?
It was a mixed property. It was residential, and, it was mostly a residential building at that time. It was a decoupage.
Okay.
So the decoupage is a very, everybody knows, the people that live in South Beach, they know the decoupage. It was one of the first buildings.
Nice. So prior to working for AVPM, you were an operator, right?
Yeah.
What company did you work for?
I worked for Part 1 at the
Part
time.
1?
Now
Okay.
Part 1 is part of Rick Parking.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I worked there. I started there in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
right? I left for, a period of time of like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back to Part 1. So I joined Part 1 again. So.
Okay. Now, if you were to look back at your parking career prior to working at AVPM, which job was your favorite job that you did in parking?
I think it was a regional job. Why? Because...
And which company was this with, the regional job?
It was with Parksman.
Parksman?
Actually.
Does Parkman still exist?
No, I think they changed names now.
Okay.
But if you let me, I can tell,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell the story.
So I started in 2007 with Part 1, and that was my first manager job.
Okay.
And I remember it was one of high rises building in Sunny Isles Beach, and then I started my career there, and I met a lot of people. I started working in different buildings as well, assisting the company in different roles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Auditing, just doing special events and managing, properties that are, in a really bad situation. Like,
was Parksman more of like a local company, like a South Florida company?
South Florida company.
Okay.
And yeah, so in Part 1, when I started in 2007, I run, different properties. And then, I was, thankful just to meet a very special person that, I really have a lot of respect for him. That's Benton Launerts, right? So I consider him like my mentor on the operation side, and, the vision, everything that he showed me during the years. And actually Parksman came after, when he was, he actually was the vice president of Part 1, and he opened his new company. He called me. And I think that was in 2011, and I started working for him.
Okay.
And we moved from 5 locations to 80 locations in 2 years. So it was crazy.
Wow,
Crazy.
That's some pretty big growth.
It was really, really big. It was a lot of work.
And was it mostly like residential properties, or just a mix, residential and commercial, or?
Yeah, it was residential and commercial. We didn't have so many hotels, but the residential buildings. Yeah, we started from South Beach through, I think the one that we have, I think it was on Delray Beach, the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was covering, Delray, Broward, and part of Dade County too. So I started with 4 accounts, and I ended with 20-something accounts.
And for you guys that may not know, like Delray Beach from South Beach, you're probably talking about like 50, 60 miles distance from one or the other, like, up the coast. So it's
Correct.
It's 80 accounts within a 60-mile region is a lot of accounts.
Yeah.
It's a lot of ground cover.
Yeah, he was So that's the reason I got a lot of respect for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was amazing. It was day and night, but we love each other. Like it was like a real teamwork, right? Working together. So we work a lot of hours. We put a lot of effort, but I make a lot of good results, right, for the company. So it was really good.
Good.
It was really good. Yeah.
And once you left Parksman, you went back to work for Reef? I
went back to work for Reef. I remember there was a property and there were some changes.
Mm-hmm.
They had a new president at that time. That is Fred Mayer. He was the president, and then they gave me a property, a residential property. It was like a rental property. But it was really, really busy in the morning. So they have a lot of issues in the morning, when everybody was requesting the vehicles. And then they were, demanding a lot of claims as well from the valet. So I have to fix that. So that's the reason, I went over there. I spent like 2 years and I started, promoting, people.
Sure.
And then, I can move to the next level. So then, they give me opportunity to the Beach Walk Resort, where actually, I started my journey with AVPMi, right? That was the first time that I started using the system. I was using another technology system at the time. So, that was where I started using the AVPMi system.
Now, one of the questions that I was going to ask you was like, if you had a mentor, like during your parking career, and you said that Benton, was your mentor. So thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Could you share with us, like, what are some like things that you learned from Benton that you think were key, like for your career?
So I learned a lot of things, right? It was, is having the same, consistency, loyalty, go to the extra mile, right? And the most valuable thing about him, it was respect for the employees. The same respect for the employees is the same respect for the customers, right? So it was a really good balance, right? He always, if an employee had a personal issue, he was the first one going to the location and take care of the situation. He always worked as a team. He was very focused. His goal was like, it's like, he's actually, I can call him my friend. He drive a Mustang, right? And now, it's great for him, and I'm really proud of him. He owns his own business. But he was driving like 200 miles per hour in the business as well. So that's the reason we grow so fast. And I think we did a pretty good job, and I missed those times. It was really, really nice times. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of work. But it was fun, right? It was fun at the end.
Nice, man. Good to hear that. When Luigi is not at work at AVPM, what does Luigi do for fun?
Well, as you know, I have 2 kids, right? I love to spend time with them, with my wife. But, what I love the most is I love soccer.
Okay.
I love soccer, like, I love soccer and concerts. That's my 2 hobbies, right? I love, go to a concert. I love to play soccer, and I love to watch soccer. So I have my team that, is AC Milan. And, my family knows the schedule, right?
Okay.
Nobody, there's nothing that I can do.
Do you guys have it posted like in the fridge of your house or something? Like the schedule for the AC Milan?
Well, they know. I receive, I put on my calendar. As soon as I get the alerts, nobody can touch me for those 2 hours. And then, the good thing is that my son is with me. So every time they play, they come over, hey, Daddy, Milan is going to start playing. So,
nice.
We watch the game together, and then, so my wife knows that. So
right.
Even if we go out, we gotta go out with the kids, my phone, I play on my phone and I have to watch the game. So,
Okay, cool.
So those 2 hours are for me only.
Nice, man. So besides AC Milan, like, just for maybe you guys that don't know, Luigi's originally from Peru.
Right.
So in Peru, what soccer team do you follow there? Do you follow a soccer team in Peru?
Yeah, it's Alianza Lima.
Okay.
Yeah, I follow them since I was a kid.
So you said that concert is also your thing. What kind of music do you listen to, Luigi? Like, what's your favorite concert to go to?
Oof. Man, I love many groups, right? I love 80s, I love 90s. But my favorite band, it was, I can say, I love, The Cure, the Depeche Mode, U2, I love Iron Maiden, Led Zeppelin, I love that kind of music.
Mm-hmm. Nice, man. Currently, your position at AVPM is a regional sales executive, right?
That's correct.
Nice.
Yes.
So can you walk us through a little bit, like what's your role in the company, what you do, what is your day-to-day over there?
Yeah, my day-to-day is look for new business opportunities, business development opportunities on AVPMi, and as well just to be able to connect with my existing clients.
And what areas of the country do you service? Like, since I know you're regional, but what are the areas that you currently service?
So, besides Florida, right, that is my base state. I do Georgia, I do the Caribbean, Louisiana, and now, I'm overseeing Texas as well.
Texas?
Yeah.
And what about North and South Carolina?
That's north, south. We have, also
Virginia.
You started out your career as a valet driver in this industry. I'm sure that you've gotten into a lot of cars in your life, right? When you did that, which one was your favorite car that you've ever driven in valet? And if you don't have one, give me like the top three.
I'm gonna give you.
If you can't just narrow down to one.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna give you a top three. The first one was a Rolls Royce.
A Rolls Royce, okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember roughly what year it was? Like,
it was
Rolls-Royce?
1995, and I was 20 years old.
Okay.
And then I was, I was driving the car, but at the same time, sometimes I need to pick up this person at the airport.
Okay. In that car?
Yeah, in that car. So
wow.
I have to drive from South Beach to the Miami International Airport.
Now, you would do this they would hire you to do this like after hours, right? Like when you weren't working, this is something that they would ask you to do for them?
No. Actually, it was
part of the contract?
It was part of the contract because
wow.
he was one of the, investors of the building.
Okay.
So, he was calling the company at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know the rules and regulations, right?
Yeah.
But, at that time, I was the one, many times I drove to the Miami International Airport to pick up this person, right? He was a very important person. And driving him and back a couple times, and just driving that car on 1995. I was like looking at the mirror like everywhere. I have eyes on my back. It was
you were more worried than but it was a nice car to drive, huh?
Man, that was a $600,000 car, right?
Yeah,
it was the top of the line.
Yeah, if you think about it, back then 1995, I think when it came to luxury cars, there was no higher name than that. It
was crazy. But it was one special moment for me. It was I always loved the Aston Martin. I think that's the most beautiful car. I love that car. It was my dream car since I was a kid. And it was a French guy that used to live at the Setai at that time. And he arrived to the Setai, and I remember I was the not the manager, but I was the head supervisor, and I was able to drive his car. That car was.
But it's funny that you say that, right? And how parking, when you think about it, it's a small industry, but yet it's so big, right? Give you a little bit of an example. I remember once I took my dad to a doctor's appointment, and the nurse, we're talking back and forth. How's your day? Good, blah, blah. She was asking me what I did for work. And then I mentioned to her that I work in parking, and she's like, what? Parking? How do you make a living? How do you pay your bills? Like, right? So people that don't know, right?
Right.
But parking, like, it just, when you mentioned that it was like your dream to drive that car, right? to me, that kind of brought me back to where like that's why I got into parking. Like I lived near this resort in Boca Raton, Florida, and my dream, I wanted to drive a Ferrari, I wanted to drive a Lamborghini, and I'm like, man, the only way that I'm gonna do it at that age was like I gotta go get a valet job,
Right.
and that's exactly what I did. I was able to to get a job there,
That's really cool.
and man, and I was able to drive like my Ferraris and Lambos, and I remember till this day like it's one day I was working on a Saturday morning and a Ferrari pulls up and I'm like, man, that Ferrari looks nice. I opened the door and it was Jeff Gordon,
Wow.
the NASCAR driver.
Mhm.
He was going there for breakfast, on a Saturday morning.
Wow.
I was like, good morning, Mr. Gordon. So I got to drive his Ferrari one time. But yeah, man. So like, just going back to what you said, it's amazing how valet can fulfill dreams, right? For some people. So
Yeah, for me, for example, and just changing a little bit, right? Now that you were talking about famous people, right? On my time I used to work for the Alexander Hotel in South Beach. I remember it was a nice crew, right? That we have in the valet. It was a lot of people from Brazil. It was a lot of people from Peru. A lot of people. It was a mix, Colombian. But and we get along. We used to play soccer together and everything. But the most cool thing that happened at the Alexandra Hotel is I met a lot of famous people, right?
okay.
So, for example, Versace, when he passed away, the Alexandra Hotel, it was across the street from one of his boats, right?
Mhm.
When he parked his boats. And then one day, I opened the door. It was a limo coming in, and I opened the door. And man, when I opened the door, I see Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, and it was
Whoa.
like, for me, I was shaking, man. It was Led Zeppelin. It was wow. It was it was a dream come true, right? Those
Right.
guys next to me, and then the next month, it was Aerosmith, the entire band, stay at Alexander for a month,
Whoa.
and like I was mentioned to you before when I talk about concerts, I love The Cure. And I remember that I paid for the concert, and I was going with a co-worker, right? That night, so we went to the concert. It was amazing. I remember it was amazing. And when we get back, it was like a big truck coming into Alexander, and I saw Robert Smith, who is the singer, right, with the whole entire band from The Cure there, and I was able to take a picture with him.
Oh,
It
that's
was
awesome.
yeah, man.
When you worked valet, do you recall what was the biggest tip that you ever got?
What a nice question. There was a guy that he used to have the Acura
NSX. Yeah, that car was so dope back then. It's still dope, but back
I
then it was
love the
amazing.
car.
Yeah.
Yes, to be honest with you, I love that car.
Yeah.
That guy was asking for his car every day at 6 a.m. and he
Okay.
was tipping $100 per day.
Wow.
Really?
Nice.
It was $100.
Everybody wanted to work that morning shift,
but
huh?
nobody knew, right? Because
Okay.
they put me on the shift because they said, no, this is the new guy.
Uh-huh.
He's gonna work the worst shift. But I was the one that was really, really smiling at the end, right?
Yeah,
I was
right.
making, $200, $300, and it was amazing, right?
Right.
It was really, really nice. That guy was $100 every single day, right in the morning.
Whoa, that's
He was leaving
amazing.
at 6 a.m.
Mhm.
So it was Monday to Friday. You got his car in the front, at 6 a.m. He will handle $100 to you.
Yeah.
But there was one time at the Setai Hotel. That it was one very rich guy that came to the curbside and just throw $2,000 for everybody
to split, right?
to split
Yeah.
with everybody, right? So
Yeah, I've had occasions like that too, like during Christmas, during like New Year's, when you're working special occasions like that. Somebody will come and just drop, hey, this is for everybody. Drop like a couple $1,000s to do that. Hey man, it adds up. Like it definitely
A
like
lot.
boosts up your
Yeah.
tip. I used to work at a country club, and the country club had an open parking lot, right? And there used to be a gentleman that used to come and play golf there like once a week. And in the country club, since people go there every day, they're not big tippers, right? I'm talking about like I worked there back like in 1999. You get paid $1 per car, which super cheap, right? But when you're parking 100 cars a day by
$100.
yourself, you're still walking in with $100 cash.
Right.
But this guy used to say, hey, so he used to come like usually on Mondays, and he used to play golf. And he used to be like, hey, if you bring he had a black Mercedes. It was like an S600, like the square body ones,
Mm-hmm.
Like it was super like hot back. Like that was a nice car back then.
Mm-hmm.
It's still nice today. Like if you go back, to look at that car. But he used to say, if you bring my car hot, I'm going to tip you $1. If you bring it to me cool, I'll give you $100.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, and it was an open lot and there wasn't much shade at all, man. So like when I knew he was coming in, I'd be like, oh, I was like pretty much like cone off like a shady spot so I can keep his car there the whole day and have it ready, man. I didn't want to miss out on that $100, but yeah, man, it's
absolutely. $100. It was
yeah, back then
yeah,
it's still money today, but back then
still,
it was special, when
it was
when
really
you got a
special.
$100 tip, so.
Tell me, I was able to, move out from my uncle in 1 month because of this guy, right? It was $500, right?
Yeah,
it was
in 1 month.
$500. Yeah, until someone realized that I was the only one getting the $100,
right?
And they start putting another guy, so I got to split it, right? And then then they changed the shift, and the manager realized, and the manager start coming, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was it was funny because I got that for about 2 months, and the third month he realized that the guy was tipping $100, and the manager put his shift at 6 a.m.
to start
really? and he pulled me out.
Yeah. Wow. Besides working as a valet driver and being an operations manager, what other jobs did you do in the parking industry?
So I used to work like 112 hours. My shift started
a week.
Yeah, a week.
Okay.
So my shift started at 3 p.m. on Monday, and I was ended up at 7 a.m. the next day.
Okay.
So,
wow. Okay.
I was working, the distance between the two properties, it was like around 25 miles, right? One was in North Miami and the other one was in Miami Beach. So I worked, as a runner in the afternoon and overnight in the other job. I did cashier when I started learning the AVPMi system. So that was my first cashier position. So I sat down there and I started learning, and trying just to understand how the system works. But this is pretty much, I did the whole entire positions, just to be honest with you. I started, as a runner, overnight, cashier, dispatch, all the positions that you can imagine in parking. So, it was a lot of work, but it was rewarded at the end, right? I think I feel proud that I did. I worked so many hours, and I did this, just to support my family, support myself. I came to this country by myself when I was 20 years old, so I didn't have any. My only one, it was my uncle, but that's the only family that I had here when I came here. So my goal was to work as many hours as I can, so I can make good money, right? And I can survive and I can move on, right? So that was the first years when I started parking. Yeah.
You've been with AVPM now for 4.5 years, close to 5 years, right?
Right, correct.
Out of the time that you've been with AVPM, which one was your favorite project that you worked on?
I think it was the new Guitar Hotel, the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood.
Okay.
Right? I think that project was really, really amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Would you mind sharing with us a little bit of what that project entailed and what was so special about it?
Yeah, it was actually an extension of the current old Hard Rock, right? I'm calling old now because next to the new guitar is a huge difference. So we work in the plan was really cool because there's a lot of traffic going on, and the Hard Rock make like a tunnel just for valet through the second floor to the Winner's Way garage. That there's a garage where they there's a self-parking garage, and they give the third floor to the operator. So it was about 245 spaces, and we put 2 different lanes, right? One in, one out, with LPR cameras, access unit control, damage control camera. So we put all our software there, and then and the other side, it was another new construction for the other garage called Lucky Street. On Lucky Street, they make like a a ramp just for valet, where they divide the soft parking with the valet area. Uh, and that was only an entry and exit for valet. So we put one lane in and one lane out with access unit control, damage control cameras, and LPR cameras too. So everything combined as a for just for the valet.
Nice.
Right?
And all this equipment you guys added to an existing system that you had over there, right? So you guys already had this was already an existing customer of yours?
That's correct. Yeah, AVPM had this customer for over 10 years. So when we did the expansion, I was, it was, I think, my first project. I started in 2018 and we started the project in 2019. But, you and I worked together on this one. Actually, you give the solution to the customer. So I think it was pretty cool. I learned a lot, right? From, construction side, installation side, new technology that we add there. So it was a lot of components, right? It was really cool. And it was, I think this one, just from A to Z, I think it was the best installation that I did,
Nice.
since I joined AVPM.
Nice. Now, what is the one project that you didn't win, but you wish you had won, that you think would have been like,
That's a really good question. One project.
And if there's more than one, you're more than welcome to mention it. But what's one project you're like, man, I wish I could have won this project. This project was special for me.
It was a couple of RSP, right? That would, I think I worked for a new project in Port Charlotte that put a lot of effort, on that, and it was pretty amazing, because it was a combination of valet and self parking.
Right, and yeah, I know what project you're talking about, but the hurricane that just went through Florida recently, it really battered that area there, the Port Charlotte area, and I have a friend that lives there. And I went to see her house because she actually came over to my house during the hurricane. And then after the hurricane went by, I went with her back to Port Charlotte. And that project got pretty beat up, man. Like it's right there on the water, right by the bay. And I drove right in front of it, and it was pretty battered,
Yeah, it was really sad. Another airport in Opaloca, they put the RFP as well. Yeah, unfortunately, it was really cool because they were doing something brand new at the airport. So it was more about, big projects, right? Because for me, it's exciting just to get big projects because, it's you start from scratch to the end, there's a lot of components. So, for me, it was like, that's why I said the hard rock because, it showed me a lot of the construction, a lot of the drawings, how to, talk to people, architects, and, how to initiate everything. For me, this is, I have a lot of experience on the valet parking side, but for me, just going to the construction, self-parking, and, it was something new. So it was really, really interesting for me. Yeah.
Nice, man. So there's no way that we can sit here, right? I mean, and then not talk about this. We lived through a pandemic, right? So when you at this time during the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, you were working for AVPM. When you first heard about the pandemic and what it was gonna do, what did you think was gonna happen to parking, right? Like, what was your what were your thoughts? What was your mind? Like, what was going through your head at that time?
So at that time it was scary, right? Because we didn't know, how long this pandemic will last, right? And then we, it was a lot of restrictions. So people were not able just to use facilities of parking, the hotels business, the hospitality business stopped servicing, servicing, during that time. So it was really hard, even, including for myself, right? I have my dad, he's actually live in Peru. He got COVID and he was in emergency room for about 3 months, and thanks God, and I appreciate that from the company. At that time I was working remotely, so I was able to go to Peru and just take care of my dad, right? For me it was huge that so I want to thank AVPM for giving me that opportunity, and at least I was able to see my dad again, right? That for me it was really important, right? I have all my family here, but my dad and mom is still living there. So for me, it was like a combination of, I was scared about the future, because we're starting with a new shots that you have to put in, and a lot of new rules. It was really tough times. Thanks God that it stopped now already, and then we can smile again, right? We
Absolutely.
can see each other.
At AVPMi, what's going on there today? Like, what's AVPM doing? Like, what are you guys up to? What's new? What's upcoming?
So yeah, after during the pandemic, we start all together brainstorming. How can we do something new, right? So we did a couple things, right? AVPM always was focused on like big projects, like big casinos, airports, huge, big robust, properties, right? And then I think we focus more on the medium, small locations, as we did the we saw that there's a lot of potential in Florida, because there's a lot of high rises, there's a lot of small hotels. We decided to start working on a new product called Swift Valet. So now I'm wearing my Swift Valet shirt, because we started working since, I think we started in 2019, working together, and now we launched the new product on August 1st.
And how does Swift Valet compare to the other stuff that AVPM does? Didn't AVPM already have a valet product?
AVPM has a valet product, but we actually renew and add new features into the system. So it was, I think, the application that we have for valet was from 2012. So I think it was time just to make a change, right? Like parking is about technology now. It's changing every single year, so there's new stuff all the time. And then during the COVID, because of nobody, they want the operators start limiting the cashier position, dispatcher, everybody start using the ticketless solution, so that way there is no connection with the cashier anymore, so people can do the pay by phone. And then
it's funny how QR code exploded after COVID, right?
Yeah,
like prior to COVID, it was used in parking, in like
everybody,
different areas. But now
Yeah.
you talk about QR, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, QR this, QR that."
Everybody's using QR now, even on the self parking, right? The frictionless garages are QR now. So everything, every company changed, right? But I think it was the right time to make a change. And I think we brought the what I can say is that AVPMi was built for very large properties where they have a different type of solution. So the idea was combine the whole solutions and just unify those solutions, just bring a product, because AVPM is always it was always developing, right? Developing, listening to the customer and just building something new. So the idea was to get, a list of solutions that we currently have and just put it as a product. So that way, we will start using that as for our, medium and small market, in the whole entire country. And thankfully, we are doing really good right now.
Good. And who's the ideal customer for the Swift Valet product? Like, is it a hotel? Is it a restaurant?
So
is it like a mixed-use property? What type of a solution fits best for the Swift Valet?
So Swift Valet fits for restaurants, condominiums, hotels and mixed-use properties, right? Could be a small, medium size, right? Yeah, that's exactly what we are doing with Swift right now.
And what's the pricing model like for the Swift Valet product?
So we qualify the pricing on tiers.
Okay.
So depending of the transactions, we ask the question customer how many transactions they have, and we have a very competitive pricing.
Okay. And if somebody wanted to learn more about Swift Valet, where could they learn more about it?
They can contact me, and I will be more than happy to do a presentation.
What does the future hold for AVPM? Where do you see AVPM 5 years from now? Like, what do you think you guys are going to be working on, and the type of things you guys will be doing?
I think AVPM has a lot of good future. I think they have a lot of opportunities to grow. I think the product is really well done this time, and that's what I see. In 5 years, I think the company having at least more than probably 5 to 10,000 new accounts. Just to be honest with you, yeah, I think we can do that, right?
Nice.
It's gonna take a lot of work, but I think that's the ambition, right? It's
Yeah,
gonna take a lot of work.
Absolutely.
And trust me, it's taking a lot of work.
Yeah. It's you don't develop software overnight. It takes time. It's trial and error, and having to test it. You got to break it, right, and then you got to fix it again. So it certainly takes some effort.
And it's always something new, right?
Yeah.
Something new. Technologies on parking is bringing new stuff, right? It's like good thing about AVPM is that AVPM does a lot of different type of so they can cover all the segment of parking, right? And they have also a task management solution like a queued up bell desk solution. We have the self parking, we have the unified solution on the AVPM side. So we cover the self parking solutions, we cover the task management solution, and then also, and I think where we are really strong is on the valet side, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the hospitality side, I think the target is hotels, right? We are preferred vendor from Hilton, so that's my personal goal, right? So we can get as many Hiltons as we can on the hotel side, Marriott, Ritz-Carlton, high-end, hotels, Omnis,
Nice. So AVPM has valet locations, right? They have self-parking locations. You guys do bell desk solutions,
correct,
right? But your valet, you have more than one valet product, right? You have like a traditional valet product, right? And then you have what, like now it's Swift Valet is your new product for valet.
So Swift Valet is a new product.
And what's the biggest difference between the traditional product and Swift Valet?
So now is a new UI, right, that we implement there, which is super user friendly for operators as well. They have new features. We have a structure for monthlies, right, for residents, for permanent residents, where they can request a car. We have the ticketless solution. We pre-print the tickets or reusable tags. We have a new residential application that is called Access now, that is on Apple Store and Google Store. The Swift Valet as well, can combine, any type of customer types, transients, overnights, or monthlies, at the same time. They do have a broadcasting, two-way communication. So, those are the things.
Why don't you tell everybody some of like properties that AVPM is in across the country?
So we have the Wynn and Anchor in Vegas, just an example. We have the Venetian and Palazzo in Vegas, which Venetian and Palazzo, we build an extraordinary solution. There's a lot of components there, like, we have the bell desk solution, we have the queue solution on the valet side. So, on other properties, right, we discussed about the Guitar Hotel here in Hollywood, Madison Square Garden, right, in New York. We do the Fort Lauderdale Airport, Miami Airport. We have a Charlotte Airport, Tampa Airport.
Wow, all of Florida. All of Florida.
Yeah, so we have all Florida on the valet side. Also, we do, the Rochester Airport, MacArthur Airport.
So those are two in New York.
Yeah, exactly. And then we, the big one, right, is the DFW, right?
DFW, yeah, massive.
And now we just we started just doing the LAX as well.
Oh, nice.
We do the Texas Children's Hospital. We do Stanford.
Where do you see parking going from here? What do you think the future of parking is?
There's a lot of new solutions coming up right now with the changing, the gas for electric cars. They're gonna bring a lot of a new concept of parking, right? Like, they will probably we don't gonna have the gas station anymore. We're gonna have electric stations more often. The garages are gonna be built more on electric cars more. I think on the valet parking side, now that we have Uber, Lyft, the demand of vehicles that were coming, in the past 10 years comparing to now, I think low, right, is lower than before. And I think now, in the future, I think autonomous car, that's what you say.
Autonomous,
right?
yeah.
Autonomous car, gonna come. So, technology is replacing, they're gonna replacing human labor. And I think, we are moving to another era of parking, right? So everything had changed because of COVID, right? So I think people are moving in the right directions. Now we have frictionless parking, right? And a lot of the self-parking garages, everybody's using pay by web, everybody's using the phone, so mobility, right?
Yeah, mobility, yeah, that's the way to go. Yep.
Yeah, mobility now is taking over. So
yeah,
actually I'm fan of the phone. I love to do everything on my phone. And those are my thoughts, right? This is what I think that parking is moving ahead, and there's going to be a lot of changes from 2023, 2025, 26. There will be a lot of big changes in parking.
Okay. All right. Being that you came from operations and then you moved on to working for a technology provider, okay? Do you have any tips, any insights for somebody who's also transitioning from being an operator to being a technology provider, on what they could do, and then any tips for them, on moving from one career to the other, like that you've learned along the way?
The only tip that I can say is use the technology that you currently have as operator as much as you can. So learn
it, right?
Yeah, learn because technology changing every day. So I have new solutions. I think everything is becoming a lot of technology because usually I think it's 2 or 3% of the people that works in the parking industry realize how important is the technology now. So I'm just talking about valet runners, but there's a lot of opportunity for kids that they are finishing school and they working part-time as valet. Now the market is very competitive right now, so parking is not like it was before. So there's a lot of opportunities in parking now. The more you learn, the more opportunities you will have in the parking industry. That's
what you recommend.
Yeah, that's what I recommend. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And your experience moving on from being an operator to working as somebody who sells the technology, you would recommend it if somebody wanted to do that? Something that you'd say, yeah, it's worth it?
Absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely yes.
And that gives you an edge too, right? Because you understand operations, right? So like when you go talk to somebody today who is an operator, the fact that you used to be an operator, you understand their pain points and where they hurt and what solutions could be beneficial for them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And totally. Yeah. This is and I think you and I that's the most important thing for our clients, right? Just to understand their needs and then help them, right? That's the main goal, right?
Absolutely. Well, Luigi, I want to thank you for coming by. We've spent a little bit of time together today. I really appreciate it. I wouldn't want to do this first episode with anybody else besides you, man. Thank you so much for stopping by and.
No, thank you, Anderson. For me, it's always a pleasure seeing you, and it's like we were co-workers, but now that we are doing this as a friend, and thank you. I feel really, really good today. Thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you the best.
Yeah,
Ryan.
no.
That's really, I wish you the best. I wish you that, everything will be good for you. So,
No, thank you.
best of luck, bro.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We hope you have enjoyed getting to know Luigi and the solutions offered by AVPMi. Please support us by liking and subscribing to our channel. To be notified when our next episode is posted, make sure to ring the bell. Take care.
If you or someone you know wants to be a guest on our show, contact us through our website, www.myparkingconsultant.com.